our second episode of Small Package Wrestling. This is our second, right?
We back.
We back. This is our
Third, I
second.
think.
This is Omar Guerrero joining y'all. And these are my two colleagues that are also joining us.
Oh, I guess this is the part where I introduce myself. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
Aaron's reaction.
I mean, it's better than last time. I'll give you that. That woo, I don't know what was that, but I'll give it to you.
There it is.
There you go.
All right.
And then,
You could do that. You could do the Mr. Perfect.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but we're out here. About to do a quick little recap of the Penta era and of last week's Raw. So we're gonna have the Don. I think Aaron just start off with a few words because he was there live in San Jose, and then we'll go ahead and just let him have the floor for a little bit and just say a little bit about being there in San Jose this week.
So okay, I'm Aaron, and then like Omar said, I was at the show last night for Monday Night Raw, and what I noticed, this crowd was loud, like surprisingly loud. Like I've been going to shows in that building for over 18 years now, and it's been Raw, SmackDowns, house shows, pay-per-views. This was the loudest it's ever been, and I think just part of the new era that WWE is in. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of excitement. New signings, Penta. There was a lot of people excited for that. So I think that's the main reason why people are excited and loud for this new era.
Yeah, and like that's exactly why I kind of wanted to ask you about this Bentad era and how you felt just being there live. And I kind of wanted that to segue into the last week's episode of the very first Netflix.
Before we go, I wanted to ask this important question. You were just at a what'd you call them? PLEs?
Learning.
You were just
You
at
got
a
it.
PLE.
Yeah.
How does the sound and the crowd excitement and the hype of that PLE compare to what you just witnessed maybe about 48 hours ago, 24 hours ago?
Yeah, it was yesterday. So I'm not saying this because it's my city and I live here and that, but this San Jose crowd was loud. Like I'm
But
not
that's
taking
what I
any.
asked. Is
Yeah,
it because you said it was louder.
it was louder.
It was one of the loudest you've seen it in that arena. Now,
Yeah,
compare it to a PLE that you just went to. It's a big ask. It's a big ask of a regular Monday night show to
yeah.
have that kind of energy and vibe. Would you compare it to that, or would you say it was above or below that?
I would say it's a little above.
No way.
Cause that
I
Canadian
thought
crowd, don't get me wrong, it was loud. But I don't know if it's the size of the building, because the SAP Center is a small building, so it gets loud in there. But I think the San Jose crowd was louder than the Survivor Series crowd.
that's what's
And
up.
and also people were saying, oh, the Survivor Series crowd wasn't loud. It was loud, but it didn't compare to other PLEs, like for example, France, Puerto Rico was popping, but I feel like the San Jose crowd really surprised me.
I did want to mention this part, and we talked about it right before we started going on the air. I've heard during several of the matches, and we'll get into that later, but the "This is awesome" chant. This is awesome.
Yep, and I think that's like perfect. Like the crowd just communication with like the wrestlers and just everyone being involved is for me what really stood out in these past few Raws. And like that's something that kind of stood out. I think in the very first one and with the LA crowd, with one of the most notorious moments. I think it's an awesome moment where Hulk Hogan got booed.
Oh,
And
that's battle.
the WWE universe just really showing you know, like the wrestlers and everyone what they believe in, and you know who they want to put over, you know who they think is old news and should never be on a WWE platform again, like Hulk Hogan. So like I guess we could kind of use that to just talk about last week's debut of Raw Netflix, you know, in this new era. And we could go ahead and start with the main event. How did you all feel about, you know, the CM Punk main eventing Raw for the first time in I don't know how many years, and having that showcase with Seth Rollins, and that in itself being a dream match for a
Well,
lot of people. So I'll go ahead and let Weddle answer it.
so I wanted to ask. So this is the first time I see CM Punk wrestle on his own ever, and this is the first time I see Seth Rollins wrestle on their own ever. I remember, I don't know what show it was when CM Punk came back, and then Seth Rollins was getting all pissed off, and they had to hold him back. I didn't understand the beef. Okay. And so that's why I wanted to ask you guys, for the uninitiated, uninformed, such as myself, can you guys explain CM Punk, what it means for him to be back, and the hype, and why Seth Rollins reacted the way he did, and why they're beefing the way they are now?
Let Aaron go.
I mean, I feel I was CM Punk. He's happy to be
Pointed at the
back.
wrong corner.
I know. I was like, oh, let me adjust.
So go ahead.
I mean, it means a lot for CM Punk to be back because he didn't want to leave in the
Let
first
me
place.
I don't want to interrupt you, but what does CM Punk mean to you? What's your
To
opinion
me,
about CM? Yeah. What's your opinion of CM Punk?
I mean, how do I say this? I wouldn't say he's like my idol or my top superstar, but he's something. He's a person that gets the people talking. He speaks his mind, no matter if you hate it or you love it. He's just gonna do it, and I feel a lot of people connect with that. That's why they call him the voice of the voiceless, because he represents the people. So I feel that's why a lot of people get behind him. And even when he was gone, they were chanting CM Punk throughout every arena during shows. And
Serious?
Rollins, yeah, Rollins mentioned that, and he didn't like that because Punk was taking shots at WWE while he was gone, and WWE was going through, I want to say, a tough time, but ratings weren't great, the product wasn't great, and Rollins and Reigns, Moxley, who used to be Ambrose in WWE, they were like pretty much carrying the company, trying to elevate and put it in a better place, but um, Rollins wasn't happy with Punk saying that, and that's why there's this beef that's been going on for over 10 years now.
I remember Omar told me, I think we were watching that show together, and Omar, you told me, like, dude, like they're beefing for real. I just thought, what? Like I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and it's like you know, it goes by years, like Aaron said. And like I just watched an interview recently with Seth Rollins, with Chris Van Fleet, who's a really good interviewer. But he talked about like what he was the promo that they cut, I think, before this match. Was pretty much just him just letting it all out, like all those fucking emotions that he had for years of this fool just talking smack on social media, or like this fool, I mean CM Punk, you know, like just going on interviews and talking smack about WWE, while Seth Rollins had to just deal with Vince McMahon's like crappy product, like the stuff he was putting out at the end. And then when Triple H came out and kind of took over, that's when like this resurgence like kind of happened. And he talked about how like he was especially mad at that War Games match, that's a Survivor Series, because he said that Randy had just gone back, Randy Orton, like from a really long time, and that was like his big return. And these fools like Seth Rollins, all these guys, like, were having a really good, that was a really good match, you know. But he was like, dude, like CM Punk returning, like took all of the attention away from our work, from the shit that we've been
Yeah.
building for fucking years, and this fool just shows up and makes it about him, like he always does, like he does every time he talks about all this stuff about being the voice for the voiceless. But he just shows up and buries people, talks shit about me or like other people and stuff. So it's like very real in that aspect and stuff. So like that I think is why it's really cool to see them throw hands, like at their peak, you know. So
Yeah. So one thing, so I did want to talk about that match. I've never seen CM Punk wrestle. I've never seen Seth Rollins wrestle before. And what I liked about that match is that there was a sense of you couldn't predict what was going to happen. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. And it felt like a main event match even though it was a Monday Night Raw, right? It was the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix, and of course, it had to perform almost to that level. But it just felt I was entertained by that match. I was entertained by it. And I don't want to say that I don't remember it being high flying or stuff like that, but it was just it was a good match. It was a good match. They work well together, is what I thought.
I mean,
Whether or not they,
that says a lot for Rollins and Punk because the beef is real, but they can put that aside and put on a banger of a match and just completely put that to the side for 10, 15 minutes or however long that match is. So that says a lot for them too.
Or maybe that's the beauty. Maybe they don't put it to the side, and they kind of help channel it, and they like that's a good way of like working through it. It's like, hey, fuck it, we're beefing. Let me whip your ass, bro, and like in a nice little while the crowd is fucking chanting, and while we're putting on a good ass show. And I thought that like was the coolest part about it is like you don't know who's the heel or the face in that
yeah,
fucking rivalry. So like the crowd was just into it, bro. Like when there was a spot, like a cool moment, or like when one guy needed a rally, like the crowd was getting behind him. Or in both entrances, like they both got a really cool like reception. Because like sometimes in other feuds, Gunther, like you have like a face that gets like a crazy pop, and then you get the heel that just comes out and it's like a negative
it's like
like yeah, people are just on their phones and it's like I don't know, like no one really cares. But like that wasn't the case with this one. Like there was people cared about both, so that was
so.
cool.
But before we pivot off of that, Omar, you made a point the other day when we were talking about Seth Rollins. I think I told you guys both that I used to like Cody Rhodes' entrance, but now I think I like Seth Rollins' entrance better because of how the entire arena just gets into it. And Omar told me you said that he was the modern day Macho Man. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
It's all the drip. I could just say that. You know how Macho Man used to just come out like it just yeah, just dripped out, bro. Like literally, like this higher than life persona. But I think Seth Rollins is a little bit more grounded with that. Like he doesn't do the voice. He still does persona. That's the architect, the revolutionary, all of this, But like it's almost like you are expecting something different every time he walks out with that entrance. Whether or not it's the whoa, it's also what the fuck he's wearing. Like what like he's gonna come out in. It always gets people talking. Whether or not it looks ridiculous as fuck, or whether or not he's wearing the Mega Man red shoes. Or there was like this segment that I thought was cool that he just brought up in an interview. You answered a question about it. I guess he was wearing a jacket and he took it off, and then like the vest underneath looked like exactly the same. So like there were people who were like heck of talking about it on social media. So like I think that's an underrated aspect of a wrestler's presentation and like their interaction with their crowd is their fucking drip, and like how they come out, their character, their presentation. And I think Seth Rollins is one of those guys like Macho Man that would really embrace all the colors, would embrace crazy stuff and do crazy stuff. So yeah.
Flamboyance.
And then
He,
also what I was gonna say, it's like a lot of people think I've seen that comparison online mostly because Seth Rollins has been the second guy to like Roman's Hulk Hogan type era. You know how yeah, that's people that know the analogy will understand. That there's this workhorse guy that's always right behind that has just as much fans, just as much tractions, but was just never handed the reins by WWE. So
Go ahead, Aaron.
I
And
was
then
gonna
I want
say
to make.
Rollins, he's the whole package. He's what a WWE superstar is. He's good on the mic, good in the ring, and has the presentation, and people get behind him. That's why he's probably one of the top or the top WWE superstar right now.
You guys would say that Seth Rollins is number one as far as superstardom within the
Uh,
company, or can you
that's
can you make the argument? Not necessarily say that he's number one. Can you make the argument?
I
you can
would
make an argument.
I would argue that he's probably the best wrestler out of like all of them right now. Like just pure classic, like workhorse as they call him. Like you could go with anyone. You could fucking put him with me and Aaron in a triple threat match, and that fool would make
A
us look good.
broomstick.
Yeah, bro. Like that fool would make like what they used to say about Ric Flair. Like that fool could make a broomstick look good, and that's Seth Rollins. Like I think that's one of the things that got me into Raw, which I've always been a SmackDown guy, always, every single time up until this past year when I started watching it consistently. It was Seth Rollins coming out with that World Heavyweight Championship strap every day, every week, and talking about it, and whooping fools, and like coming out like injured with tape. I don't know if the tape was a cell or whatever, but like, or the knee and all of that, but like that kind of builds the mystique of fucking, the
So,
belt and shit.
so this guy's held the title before? Like he's been a champion?
Yeah, he's been WWE champion a few times. He has that famous cash in at WrestleMania 31,
Yeah,
where he cashed in on Brock Lesnar during the his match versus Roman Reigns.
yeah, and
Actually
So
happened here at Levi's.
we'll do a breakdown on that one. It'll be dope.
yeah, so the thing about Macho Man, Macho Man was not so Macho Man's problem was that he was too good for the Intercontinental title, but he wasn't good enough to be a consistent, heavyweight champion. Like he wasn't. It was always Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, but it was never Randy Savage. I would equate Randy Savage more to like Randy Orton, but maybe Randy Orton was a little better. Because
I'll
Randy
say,
Orton held the title more times.
yeah,
He,
yeah.
he was never he was too good for the IC, but not good enough to be the big dog. And it sounds like because I don't know anything about Seth Rollins, based on listening to you guys, this guy can put on a show with. Well, Macho Man used to be able to do that. He used to put on a hell of a show, but it sounds like this guy can hold the title and do a little more with it. Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and you
I'm
the go ahead here.
I was like he was the first world champion and he made it important because when they announced, oh, there's gonna be a second championship for the Raw brand, people were saying, oh, this is gonna be the secondary, no one's gonna care, and he held it for pretty much a year and just made it relevant and made it important and made it um people to care about it, and that says a lot of Rollins.
And
That's actually a really good point.
and
Yeah.
like now I want that belt because of him, because he like
Yeah.
went and
Okay.
defended it and shit, and it's a nice belt. So
All right. So I'm
um
I'm kind of impressed by Seth Rollins. I think right now I started liking Cody Rhodes a little bit, but now I think he's probably the most my favorite wrestler right now.
yeah, yeah, and then so we also have a few other things to talk about for Raw. So how did y'all feel about speaking of like CM Punk and Seth Rollins, like and kind of like the last promo in this most recent Raw? How do you all feel about John Cena declaring for the Royal Rumble? And
I'll start because I don't know anything about it. Um, Maybe you guys can give me a breakdown. I know that he hasn't been wrestling. He's been doing movies for a while. I know that this is his last quote unquote ride. Um, but I don't remember paying much attention to him when Omar was into wrestling back in the day. And I realized how good he is on the microphone. He's good, you
I
know?
feel like good is an understatement. He's like,
the
I
best.
want to say the best ever.
Yeah.
Oh my
Who are you gonna say?
God.
Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan is not good on the mic, bro. Oh, like I don't
Let me
know.
tell you something, brother.
Brother, he just like that's. Oh my god, I'm better on the mic than Hulk Hogan. Give me the seven confused therapists, and I'll sound like Hulk Hogan and Sylvester Stallone, bro. And I'm
No, you'll sound like Sylvester Stallone.
that's exactly like Hulk Hogan. That's who got over in that time.
I have three words for you for Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Well, yeah. Well,
Yee-hoo!
that's why that was such a dream match for like me and Aaron, is because you see these guys. You got to see John Cena go against the legendary Rock. Like, John Cena was the Rock for us. Like, there's no other like really comparison. Like, he was the megastar, the fool that would just talk shit, whoop everyone. And that's like what it was. So like, and I don't know, just seeing them throw hands was fucking dope. I guess that goes into the next Well, I guess Aaron, how'd you feel about John Cena? Uh,
I mean, I'm excited. I mean, sad at the same time, but this is the last year we're gonna see Cena in a WWE ring. It's gonna be weird after 2025 because he said it after this year I'm done. He's not coming back for another match. He's gonna be part of WWE, but he's done with the in-ring work. So
So
I'm excited. I'm sad, but that's part of the beauty of wrestling.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a good ride, like for this final go, especially since allegedly he's going to be full time and showing up pretty often and doing a lot of matches. So for someone that stopped watching wrestling for like 20 years, and when I stopped watching it, John Cena was the guy. And, like my mind hasn't changed from that, So when I see John Cena pull up and like talk, it's still little 8-year old me being excited, and like just being hella hyped that he's there. So like it's kind of a trip to see to know if he's gonna be done, like after this year. He's gonna be cooked, and retired, and it's gonna be like Hulk Hogan and gonna be booed at some point in the future, and that's how I know.
y'all keep bringing that up. You guys are trying to wound me. I know it.
I'm
No,
not I'm not
If
bringing it
if
up.
I'm mostly bringing.
if your intent is to hurt me, it's working.
I'm mostly doing it. Yes, actually, but I'm also doing it because I know it gets traction. It was one of the big things about this Raw, like that I think surprised a lot of people. Like I knew that like the online sentiment was like pretty bad against Hulk Hogan, but I really didn't expect the whole crowd to like completely boo him, which I thought was dope. It was a happy surprise for me.
So, but let's go on that. So, I'll let you guys tell me what I'm interested not so much in what the online is, but what you guys think of Hulk Hogan and why you guys are rejoicing in him getting booed.
Okay. Well, let me start off.
Okay, go for it.
I've never been a Hulk Hogan guy. Maybe because he
Ow.
was before my time. Like I never cared. Even when I was watching as a young kid and he would come back for one or two matches, nah, like whatever. So like what's happening now, again, I don't care. Like they're booing him. People have the reasons why, but I don't care. I don't care about Hulk Hogan, period.
You don't even have an opinion. You don't even care enough about him to have an opinion.
No, like
You don't even
not
want to
gonna
waste the boo on him.
I'm not gonna waste my breath. No.
Respect. Shout out. Yeah. And
What
I'll piggyback and say it's actually the opposite for me. Like I grew up in a Hulk Hogan household. My older brother's favorite wrestler was Hulk Hogan. And one of the first like action figures I remember him getting excited about was like an old school Hulk Hogan action figure where the muscles didn't even move, kind of like how Gunther doesn't. So
Okay,
he's and like for me, like I always thought his song was cool, dun,
it's a
dun,
banger.
dun. It is like all of that, like, and now like whenever I sing it, I'm like singing mad and stuff. But like for me, like I boo because I felt like it was a betrayal. It's like, and like I think I likened it pretty similar to when I was talking about like talking about John Cena. Is like for me, it really felt like one of my heroes in wrestling just flipped a switch and like really went away from what I think is American values, which is actually caring about every single American person regardless of their skin tone, regardless of where they come from. And when Hulk Hogan went on those rants and he like all these real stories come out of him saying real shit, real racist shit, it felt like a betrayal to me. It felt like one of my heroes like really turned back on everything that they stood for. And I know like maybe I was a kid, maybe I was naive, and maybe he thought all of those things for a really long time. But like that's what it felt like. So I mean those boos, boo, fuck that fool. And mostly because he's going back on what he says he was supposed to be. Fighting for the fucking good fight. Like fighting for the American dream, all this nonsense, and he really isn't. So
So, well, like, and maybe we can make this into a longer discussion about what Hulk Hogan was, when I was growing up, and what the '80s were and the '90s, with the U.S. being the good guys and Russia and these, and Um, I wonder if that's what it is. And I want to ask you guys this follow-up question. Have you guys ever seen a quote unquote superstar of that caliber be received in that manner? Like when Ric Flair comes back, or maybe Kirk Angel, as Chris Jericho used to call him, if he comes back, would he get booed like that? Have you guys seen that? Because this guy is a mega superstar, or was.
I mean, I go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, no. I haven't seen. I was gonna say I have nothing comes to mind. So
Yeah, no, me neither. Um, I was gonna say the Undertaker. He's a known Trump supporter, but like people still respect him. I don't know because um I don't know. Is it because Hogan what went on a rant or what did he do? Omar, he tweeted or there was leaked videos of him
Audio.
saying shit.
all of the
Yeah,
above. Yeah.
yeah.
This
But
guy.
like Undertaker
No,
is
he,
known a known Trump supporter. He even interviewed him on his podcast, and people still respect him. And I feel like they do because he's open with it. He's proud of it, and I feel like Hogan kind of like hid it for all these years, if and just exposed himself,
oh, he
if
got
that makes
exposed.
sense.
Yeah, he got exposed, is what happened. Okay, that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Just wanted to hear your opinions, and just so you know, y'all wound me. Well, actually, no. Uh, the fact that he was booed, it didn't hurt me. It didn't bother me at all. In fact, I would have booed too. This is my hero. This was my hero, and he's not that anymore. He hasn't been for a long ass time. But after that came out, it upset me. It bothered me, and I wonder if this is like a bigger question that maybe we can talk about at some point in the future if you guys are interested. Since this is your show. If you know,
And also, I don't know what WWE is trying to do with bringing him back, knowing the kind of reception he's gonna get. I know he's announced to appear at the next Saturday night's main event.
that's hilarious.
Um, yeah, so I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they're trying to put him over again, or I don't know. I mean, they've been trying for years. I mean, I think it was WrestleMania 30. I forgot which. It was during the pandemic. He came out with Titus O'Neil, who's an ambassador of the company, who's a black man, and still like people are not. They're just not. They're just booing him. They don't care no more. Like
But
Omar
the
said, they felt betrayed. So I don't
most
know
of
why WWE keeps bringing him back at this point.
Yeah, and I think one of the negative things too, just about the whole thing, was he literally came back to promote his beer, and he's just like, "Hey, drink my stuff, brother." Yeah, and then couldn't even like finish ripping the shirt, and he was like walking around with it as a poncho or whatever. But yeah, that's enough. I guess we could. I think that would be an interesting topic. Just like talking about like Hulk Hogan's impact on the grander scheme and kind of like his turn to notorious. Stuff that he is
yeah,
in now. Yeah. So, and I think that's kind of the last few things before we go into it. The only two things we need to talk about is the bloodline business. Very first bloodline aspect was, The Rock, coming out and uh, being happy to the Netflix overlords, I guess, and saying thank you to them. So what did y'all think about that segment and him coming out? I'll go ahead and just put like my initial thoughts. I Unlike most people's like reactions that think the old Rock of last year is completely gone, like they're screwing everything up. I really think it was just him going out and doing what he needs to do as like the executive or one of the board members of like TKO, and introducing Raw and doing all that stuff. And I think when he does come back to whatever match that it's going to be, whether it's Cody or Rock or Roman and Rock, he's going to go full final boss. And like I think that was one of the really cool aspects of last year. And the Mania build was him like going into a full different character, a full heel character. because I really think he could play that and handle that role really, really well. And anything The Rock does, I'm a fucking enjoyer. Like I enjoy that shit. I eat it up. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty much what I was gonna say. Like online, there was a lot of people upset at The Rock. Like, oh, we wanted a final boss Rock. We want him the heel Rock. Like, this was the first um show, the first Raw on Netflix. So this was like an introduction to a lot of people. There was a lot of new audience. So this was like an introduction to wrestling in general. So him coming out being Happy Rock and giving props to Cody Rhodes and all that. That's just what he needed to do, like Omar said. And that happened throughout the card. Like everybody who won was supposed to win to make the people happy because it was an introduction to this new era and to a lot of new viewers.
So this is so what I'm getting from you guys is that he came out not as the quote unquote final boss, but as the TKO board member guy, and that's how he spoke. I remember that he wasn't in character, like he didn't do. It was this, it was very businesslike, I guess, how he came out. It's just like, okay, well, thank you, bye, get out of here. I did, and maybe we can use this as a segue with the final boss. And what is it? The bloodline or the tribal? What is it?
Yeah.
The
Tribal
tribal chief.
combat.
Okay, Paul Heyman. What?
The wise
Who?
man.
What is it? What? Why? Like, what are you doing? Like, okay, like you come out and you like what? And he has his face, and he doesn't even look at anybody when he's coming down the ramp. He's just looking at Roman Reigns, and he's just like, Roman Reigns is talking in the ring, and he's just looking at Roman Reigns the whole time. And I
That's
just
his
thought, why are you there?
that's his
Roman
tribal
Reigns
chief.
doesn't need him.
And
He's
that,
not the tribal chief.
yeah, and
I
that's
He
his
don't
is
know. Like
now.
as a
replacement.
newcomer, as somebody that doesn't know what the hell, I'm gonna say this: Roman Reigns, all he needs to do is this.
And
And the
I'm like,
crowd fucking erupts.
ah,
Yeah, the crowd
yeah.
erupts. And then you have Paul Heyman in the back, like, dude, what are you doing? You're like breathing his air. Like, what the hell are you doing, man?
All right,
Fuck out of here, Paul Heyman. Like, what do you want?
all
Like,
right,
what are you doing?
all
Like,
right.
that's what I would say, Paul. Why?
We
Like,
gotta
why?
we gotta take Waddle to tribal chief school.
I'm
You
just
know.
like,
I know. I mean, there's so much history. This goes back to 2020. Like maybe not knowing what he's been through with
Paul
Paul
Heyman gives
Heyman. Maybe that's why we're
Well,
getting this reaction.
yeah, and well, like I think Roman, like Aaron said, he's been through fucking so fucking much. Like when I stopped watching WWE, this fool was barely coming out and was like this random ass low carder that was like part of the Shield, and they scared me, so I stopped watching that shit. And like because it would be like Alpha, Delta, Beta, and I was like, what the hell? And like it would be black and white and shit, and I was like, okay. But like he was like posed after John Cena left to be like full time, to be the guy, like to be this face, like to be this clean cut Hulk Hogan type character. And he was sucked at it. Like he wasn't good. He was getting booed like really, really bad. Like he won the Royal Rumble and he got booed. And The Rock had to come out and fucking raise his hand and he still got fucking booed. Like he was fucking going through it and he like was barely about to get over and then won a championship and then fucking got diagnosed with leukemia or yeah that's what it was and then he
yeah,
left for a few years and
I
then
remember that.
and then when he came back, well, this fool was just different, like just completely like a totally different animal. And that's when Paul Heyman comes in because he's like Roman Reigns is no longer this clean cut, never do negative like bad things, like always try to win clean. He's now trying to be the tribal chief, like trying to take the shit by fucking force, and he knows he's not this intelligent, smart guy. So he needs the wise man, bro. He needs his boy Paul Heyman to fucking pull the strings and to hype him up and to let everyone know, like who this fool Roman Reigns is. Because the issue with Roman before was that he was never good on the mic. Could never like talk on his own. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so they gave him Paul Heyman to kind of do that, and that's like You mentioned Roman's facial expressions, but that is his strength. Like that's what he's able to do, whether or not it's like on the like side with CM Punk when they're just chilling, or in the match. Like there was
Mhm.
like one segment where like he turned heel where he was fighting his cousin Jay, and like he fucking like kicked out of a pin, and he fucking low blowed him as he like kicked
Mhm.
out, and the commentator's like, "Nah, he did it on accident. He did it on accident." And this fool was just like fucking shit eating grin, bro. Like looking at the camera, just like, and like that evolved into like one of Aaron's favorite promos where he just is like, dude, this is my fucking WWE. This is all mine. So like when like me and Aaron see fucking probably Aaron more than me because I learned all this shit through YouTube. But like when they see those fools come out, like it's dope. You got your fucking wise man. I want a wise man. I want a fucking guy that knows everything and that could fucking like handle. You don't want to be my wise man, Waddle?
Aaron can be here. What do you
No,
what do you think about my little rant here about Paul Heyman?
I liked it.
Um, I mean, I liked it, but like I just feel like you don't understand what these two have been through. Especially Roman, because like Omar said at the beginning when the Shield broke up, WWE was force feeding us this guy, and the people just spit it out and did not like it. Was getting booed, and then Roman wasn't good at the mic. That didn't help. He wins the Royal Rumble, gets booed out of the building. The Rock comes out. Nope, we still hate this guy. So to see that and then taking a break and then coming back into this new character is he's a whole different person. He needed Paul Heyman at the beginning. I feel like he doesn't need him now, but they're just too glue at this point to just break him off.
Okay. So that's because that's what I was sensing. This guy's got everybody eating out of his hands, and all he needs to do is go. And, or just, do this and everybody just reacts. And then just Paul Heyman, he just goes, and it's just, okay, okay.
Well,
Maybe I'll be nicer to Paul here. Maybe I'll be a little nice.
Please.
and that's actually one of the exact things that Roman said when he figured it out. Like, I have y'all at the palm of my hand. Like he said that during a promo. Like when he figured out to stop being a face and to start being a heel. So like he knows exactly what he's doing. Like it's all fucking calculated. And for me, like as someone that knows like it's a work, like these fools are like working that, like he's worked at that and learned over years. Like I appreciate that shit because he's like, dude, I'm fucking manipulating these fools and I know it. Like, and I'm laughing in your fucking face, and I'm like, this is my wise man. I'm gonna fucking cheat and I'm gonna win this championship and I'm gonna fucking lift them up and you're gonna fucking like it, bro. Like that is what it
I'm
is.
not gonna like it.
And if you
You're gonna
don't,
acknowledge him.
you're gonna fucking, like there it is.
I'm-
no, no acknowledge or what he said, no yeet. But yeah,
No,
like so I think that goes into like that next what we thought about him getting the Ulafala back. So I like, and for
I thought that was a
me,
good match, though.
yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
what do you think? Just pure match wrestling stuff.
Um, I liked it. I was entertained. I was entertained. I like the way both guys fight. I did. I don't know if I'm like I'm kind of starting to like the little smack talking. How they talk smack to each other. I loved you. I've always loved you, and you never loved me back. And putazo.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting to see. I don't know the whole story. I don't know the bloodline story. I blame Paul Heyman. You know. So I'm kind of interesting to see what it is that I learned, and I'm not going to read up. I'm not going to do research. I'm going to see because I'm going to see what how WWE brings me up to speed on this.
And I kind of like this new Paul Heyman Weddle rivalry. I think it's something that could last.
Him and I can throw hands.
Yeah, book it right now.
Book
Bro.
it.
Like this is good, bro. I think both of y'all on the mic could really go in on each other.
Aaron, did you see my finisher? My Lamelo Ball. His finisher?
The slap.
Yeah, it has to be all the way back.
And you gotta run away like Mello too, you know? He's just like dips out. He's like,
It's gonna be
nah,
my
bro.
finisher to top Paul Heyman. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna enjoy that.
But Wado actually brings up a good point that I actually wanted to bring up, and I actually think that that was really cool. Was that Solo was doing a little bit of the shit talking, you know, that like kind of Roman made, you know, like popular and big. And I thought that point, that exact point that Wado mentioned, it's like I loved you, fucking all of that stuff was like dope. Was, you know, beautiful character work by both of them, and a good way to get like the TV crowd in. Like, you know, if you're brand new to watching that match, bro, like you'll know whether or not you know the whole history of the fucking bloodline. You'll know they're of some sort of relation, you know, that they like cared for each other and all of that. So those like putazos hit a little bit more. So I thought that was really cool, and I thought it was just a textbook match in that aspect. And it was cool to have Solo be able to just be a main event guy against Roman. That's something that they had been building up for like a year since Mania. Like I remember at WrestleMania 40, like Solo was hella pissed off because Roman didn't win, and those type of things. And he like picked him up. He's like, "Beat him, bro! Like beat him! What you doing?" So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, this match was uh, it's kind of, I was gonna say the best match out of the night, but I'm not gonna say that. But it was a good match. I love the false finishes that gets the crowd into it, and
I have a problem with those. False finishes when you do the finisher and they don't die or whatever, they don't get pinned.
I mean, you gotta
I
know
have a problem
when
with
to
that.
do it. You gotta know when to do it and how to do it. You can't just be doing it. And I felt like they did it. They executed pretty well, and also the involvement of Kevin Owens and the other fools. Like this intertwining of storylines is something that's been happening since Triple H took over, and I'm loving it because it's not just one storyline and then oh next one and then next one. It's all connected, all together, and it just makes the show 10 times better.
And